everyone? Welcome back to Real Take Sports Talk. We are live here today. I'm joined today by my good friend and co-host, as always, Andrew. Andrew, what's up?
What's up, man?
It's good. You good, bro? You good?
Of course I'm good. I'm always good.
All right. Well, Andrew's good. We got a good show for you. We'll let you guys just start to come in, start to roll in, see how everything's going. Let us know if there's any audio issues, as always. I'll check myself as well, just in case. Also, super chats right there. Also, be sure to ask us any questions. You know, also, Patreon's there as well, in case y'all want to support us. All right, audio issues? Nope. No audio issues, Andrew. So, we know what we're going to be doing today, right? Do you know what we're going to be doing today?
Of course I know what we're going to be doing today.
We're going to be previewing Saturday Night Football, baby. Saturday day football, I should say. But
Saturday football. Got a
there's a
nice
good
slate today.
there's a great slate of games today. We got the Buccaneers playing the Lions. We have the Arizona Cardinals playing the San Francisco 49ers, as well as the nightcap, the Oakland, not Raiders, playing the Miami Dolphins. That game's going to have a lot of playoff implications. Every game today does have playoff implications for all the teams that are playing, but it looks like for the time being that the biggest matchup we're going to have today is going to be between the Raiders and the Miami Dolphins, because that's going to have playoff implications throughout the entire AFC. But we'll get to that. First, let's start off, Andrew. What are you looking forward to most today?
To be completely honest with you, it's that nightcap, man. I want to see that Miami defense, man. I love defense. I want to see that Miami defense. I also, because we're on the East Coast and they don't play a lot of nationally televised games, I don't get to see a lot of Kyler Murray. I'm looking forward to seeing some Kyler Murray today on Amazon. And I'm looking forward specifically, besides seeing that Miami defense in that game, I'm looking forward to John Gruden potentially, just furthering his relationship with the Raider fan base and, getting himself one step closer to leaving Vegas.
I don't see that happening. I don't think John Gruden's going to leave Vegas. They're paying the man too much.
They're paying him a lot, man, but he's gotta go.
Yeah, I don't see it.
He was so good at Monday Night Football, man.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he was good at Monday Night Football. He's going to be the coach for like the next 8 years at least. The dude's contract was 10 years. He got paid $100 million. He got stake in ownership, which I don't know how much it's actually worth for an owner for the Raiders, but, it is what it is. Again,
What
be
are
sure
you
to
most
ask.
looking forward to?
I'm most looking forward to obviously that nightcap, that Miami Dolphins, Oakland Raiders. Said it again. The Miami Dolphins, Las Vegas Raiders, because they're in Vegas now because they hate their fan base, or the only fan base that actually cared about them. But what I'm most looking forward to is that nightcap because it has playoff implications throughout the entire AFC. You got, if Miami loses, that puts Baltimore into the playoffs, or puts them into that 7th seed. If Miami wins and Oakland loses, they're eliminated from the playoffs completely. And a Miami loss today would actually be big for their own playoff implications, because then they would be fighting from behind. They would be fighting from behind, and it would be an uphill battle for them to actually win. So that's gonna be an interesting game. Plus, they're two very evenly matched teams, I think, as far as talent level and the way that they're playing. I think they're like right around the same caliber of team, so it's gonna be a good matchup for both of them. But let's start off, Andrew. Let's start off talking about this Tampa Bay Bucks game. This Tampa Bay is 9-5 going into this week. They are currently, I believe, the 5 seed in the playoffs in the NFC, and they're playing the 5-9 Detroit Lions, the perpetual losers, the epitome of mediocrity in the modern and postmodern age. So, tell me, is there any chance that Detroit is able to come out with a win? They have Matthew Stafford playing. They have Adrian Peterson, who says that this is going to be a must-see game. They have a lot of they seem very confident, is what I'm trying to say. So, Do you share that level of confidence?
I do. I do. And part of the reason why is when you look at the Detroit team, it's funny because Matt Patricia's gone. He was supposed to be, the defensive guru. He was supposed to be something in the long line of failures that have come and gone in that Detroit Lions organization. But I just feel like, um we're at that point in the season now where we're in must win. And even though he's been here before, like Brady has played in this type of, he's played in like these types of game before, like the must win in the playoffs and everything like that. Tampa Bay they're very talented, but the issue I have with Tampa Bay is just the inconsistency, man. To me, they're inconsistent. This is a game where they should win, but I'm not going to be surprised if Detroit does win. Like Adrian Peterson even said, expect a big game. Matt Stafford, a lot of people who don't talk about this because I didn't see it. I saw it because it happened against my team last week. Did you see the no look pass that man threw? He no scoped that. Now, mind you, the Titans secondary is non-existent, but did you see the no scope touchdown that man threw? Like Matt Stafford can ball. He's a baller. So I would expect some big things out of Matt Stafford today. And I would also expect Adrian Peterson, after Adrian Peterson basically shot his mouth off the other day, I would expect Adrian Peterson to do the same.
What's going to be key in this matchup is whether or not the Tampa Bay Bucks are going to be able to stop that down the field passing game. That's it. That's it. If that defense can stop that down the field passing game, if they can somehow stop Tom Brady from completing those big passes to people like Mike Evans, if the Bucks can stop Matthew Stafford from completing those down the field passes, then it's like a slam dunk. But that's the only thing that Detroit really has going for them. That's the only thing they've had going for them for their entire time. You know, they just got a running back. They just got a running back this year, and even that now he's injured, and now they're relying on an ancient AP. Like big love for Adrian Peterson, by the way, big love for Adrian Peterson, but he's not Adrian Peterson from 2012.
It's the boy.
He's not Adrian Peterson from 2014. He's not Adrian Peterson from 2008. He's not Adrian Peterson from 2016, 17, or 18. Adrian Peterson now, he's in the twilight of his career. And not saying that's a bad thing, not saying that as an insult, it's just what it is. It's true. Adrian Peterson, not the player he used to be. But can he come in and produce? Yeah. Can he be a leader like Frank Gore's the Jets? Yeah. Can he be, that mouthpiece you might need to inspire you, that punch in the face you might need from a veteran? Yeah. He can be that. But can he be the back who carries you to the playoffs? No. Can he be the back that gets you those wins when you need it? No. And obviously this year proved that they're 5-9. And we'll talk about Tampa Bay and specifically what's going to happen with them and there's a chance that they might actually clinch today, but I want to spend a moment to talk about the Lions because this is one of the more underrated stories I think that's going to be going into the offseason. This actually is going to be this could be a very enticing job for whoever gets it, depending on what they do with Matt Stafford. That's what's going to end up deciding that. So I do see the Detroit Lions this year. They're probably going to go 6-10, 5-11, whatever, right? Doesn't really matter at this point. But they're going to lose a bunch of games. And the result is going to be that I don't know if they're going to keep their head coach. Or their interim head coach now, but you would think that someone like a Jim Harbaugh, I know this name gets thrown around a lot. Jim Harbaugh would come into that organization. He's from Michigan. Wouldn't have to really drive that far from where he is right now in Ann Arbor. He wouldn't have to really pick up his family and go anywhere. He'd still be close to the university. But so that's a name that's been thrown around. That's a name that I could actually see going there. But there's also the problem of, is Michigan going to let him out? So I guess my question for you, Andrew, is do you see Jim Harbaugh as a potential candidate for that head coaching spot?
He might entertain it. He's not going nowhere though. Not with the amount of money that Michigan has invested. Absolutely
Do they
not.
keep him though?
Nah.
Do they keep him though? He hasn't beat Ohio State.
You know what? That's the thing. And I think Michigan people are going to soon realize. I think they already kind of have realized. See, this season, you can't go based off of this season specifically because this is, I mean, look at, you have traditional, I'm not going to say powers, but you had traditional teams that had like higher expectations before this COVID stuff happened, like Penn State, who, they didn't quite have the season that they were supposed to have. You have, and on the flip side, you also have teams like Indiana who came out of nowhere. And if not for the loss to Ohio State, Indiana potentially could have been a playoff team. I don't know if they would have changed the rules for Indiana the way they changed them for Ohio State, but I'm not going to get onto the college football rant. I just don't see Harbaugh. I think he might entertain it, but I don't see Harbaugh leaving Michigan anytime soon, unless he's forced out. Like unless he has like a 2-win season next year, I don't really see them. They paid all that money. They paid him all that money and everything like that. And I think specifically because of the weird season that we just had this past year, I don't think he's going nowhere.
I think he should consider going somewhere because he had his most successful seasons as a coach, not as an NFL coach, but as a coach in general, college included, as a member of the 49ers. That was when he was at his best in his coaching ability because he coached Alex Smith back into the league as an NFL starter. He coached Colin Kaepernick into a star. He coached that offense into one of the most dynamic offenses we've ever seen until Lamar Jackson came onto the scene. So I think he really should consider it. And you got to think he could do wonders. I think like a Jim Harbaugh coming into Detroit would do wonders for someone like Matthew Stafford. And thank you guys for watching, whoever's watching right now. Also, be sure to ask us any questions you guys got in the chat. Like, share, subscribe. But at the end of the day, I do think it's going to come down to whether or not Michigan ends up keeping him because he's made it very clear that he doesn't want to leave Michigan by himself. So it's going to end up being Michigan's going to have to let go of him. And if that ends up happening, I think Detroit might be the spot to go. The only place I really see him going from to the NFL is either Detroit or Atlanta, because Atlanta is kind of like the 49ers back in 2011. They kind of remind me of that team. They're the team that underachieves every year. They have the talent, they have the roster, they have everything going for them. They just inept in the beginning of the season, and they gotta get off the slow starts, and they just can't get it going late, or they get it going late, but by the time they do, it's too late. So I could see a situation like that. I could see a situation where he goes to a team like Atlanta, and instead of losing and blowing leads, they're actually going to be clutch because they're going to be better coached than they have been in the past. So that's something to look out for. Aside from Jim Harbaugh, let's talk about the game. So let's just get this out of the way, Andrew. So, what are you looking forward to most in this game? What's something to keep an eye on? What do you got?
I like Stafford. I think Stafford's gonna have a pretty good day today. I mean, dude, Tampa Bay. For me. This is a weird one because I'm not going to be surprised at all if Tampa Bay wins, just because Tampa Bay clearly has more talent than on both sides of the football than Detroit does. That Detroit organization is a dumpster fire, has been for a while now, despite the talent they have. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay loses, TBH, just because Tampa Bay has dropped games that I personally don't think Tampa Bay should have dropped. And we're in this part of the season where we're in must-win mode. And as good as Brady is, dude, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to get it done too. I just don't know if they're going to get it done, man. But yeah, no. I expect a big day from Matt Stafford.
Well,
And
what do you mean? What do you mean by big day? Because there's he can have a big day statistically, they can still lose by 20 because that's been Matt Stafford his whole career, unfortunately. But
because they don't surround him with nothing. The only receiver he ever really had was
that Bucks
Allen
team right
Johnson.
now. That Bucks team right now is just too OP. I think. I don't think there's a chance that Detroit actually has a chance of winning this game. Going into this, they're 7-point under, or I think 7 or 8 point underdogs. They're not favored at all. They're they're decimated. I think Matthew Stafford's coming off an injury. Like, he's constantly injured, though, so I don't know how much that's actually going to change things. And Brady's starting to connect with his receivers more. Brady's starting to connect with AB. Brady's starting to connect with everyone. Leonard Fournette is going to be the workhorse this week because their starter is injured. So you're going to see a lot more of him, a lot more of that downhill running attack. He's going to be catching passes out of the backfield, which Brady likes to do, and he's really good at those screens. And Leonard Fournette actually is the running back on the Bucs roster that's most suited to run those screens. So you're going to see a
That's what
different
I'm saying.
You're going to see a different Bucs offense today. And what the other thing to look out for, I think, is how that Bucs defense plays. Like I said before, Bucs defense, if they're able to at least hinder Matt Stafford early, that's game over by second, but like by halftime. Like this is, I don't expect this to actually be a close game at all because the Lions, unfortunately, it seems like no matter how hard Matt Stafford's playing, no matter how hard AP is gonna play, I just think that team itself has just given up. I think, and I don't mean this in as they're not gonna play. I think they're just not as motivated as they should as any other team would be. And why should they be? They're 5-9. Again, this is the same story every single year with the Lions. And this kind of thing, it starts with ownership. It starts with the GM. It starts with up top. So that's the thing with the Lions. I don't see them winning. I don't think they're gonna win. Final score I would say for this game is gonna be somewhere around the 31 to 20 kind of mark. I would say like it's going to be about a 10-point loss maybe. Detroit can keep it close, I think, but I don't know if they're going to end up keeping it close. The only way I see them winning, though, like I said, the only way I see Detroit winning is if they're able to get physical on the line with people like Mike Evans and AB. If they're able to get physical on the line with people like that, if they're able to stop the running game. Because one thing we know about Brady, if you stop the running game, that's like one of the big key recipes to actually beating Brady. No matter how many weapons he has around him, if he doesn't have that strong running game, or if he doesn't have that running game to lean on, it's going to be hard for him to win any game. Andrew, you want to talk about the game? Who you got winning?
I think, I mean, I like what you said about Tampa Bay and everything like that. I too have Tampa Bay winning. Yeah, 11 points. I would give it 11 points just because, I think they're going to score. I definitely think Detroit's going to put points on the board. That's really what Matt Stafford does is he can score. I'm telling you, man, I do think Tampa Bay is going to win. I just wouldn't be surprised if they were to lose, though. That's all I'm saying.
Well, guess we'll see about that. We'll see. We'll come back to this game later. Let's
This one's a
talk
weird
about.
one for me.
It is a weird one. It's a weird one, and that's the thing. Whenever you see the Lions on the schedule, that's a weird game because you always know the potential that offense has and the potential that team has, but they never live up to it. Like I think they've had like two playoff appearances since 1995. This is not a good football team. It's not a good team it's not a team that can actually go out there and like win playoff games consistently, and that's the problem they've always had. Um, but yeah, we'll come back to this game. Let's go. Let's move on to the very interesting midday game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals. So Arizona is playing at home today, although you could argue that the 49ers are also playing at home because that's where they're going to be playing all their home games for the rest of the year. So I mean, but there's no fans, so it really doesn't matter. It's a neutral site game anyway. 49ers decimated with injury this season. They lost Jimmy G in week 8. They lost Travis Kelce, who was expected to play a limited amount of snaps today for the first time in almost 8 weeks. They lost a lot of people on defense, Nick Bosa included. So this is a decimated team this year. Obviously did not live up to the hype from last year when they were the NFC champions. They're 5-9 going into this game, still playing hard. Unfortunately, Nate Mullins for them is also injured, so CJ Beathard will be getting his start today against the Cardinals, who are 8-6, probably one of the big stories of the season if they end up making the playoffs. 8-6 for Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, probably going to go back to the playoffs for the first time since 2015. Big story there. What are you looking forward to most from this game, Andrew?
Problem that the 49ers have had all year has been injuries, and it's going to show today. Kyler Murray, remember, they bought in Cliff Kingsbury solely to spread out that offense and slowly to help maximize Kyler Murray and what he does best, which is get out and throw the ball. They went out and got D-Hop. I'm expecting Kyler Murray to just torch San Francisco today, man.
How so? Is he going to do it by running or
Oh,
passing?
no, he's gonna throw it all over the field, dude. Kyler, he's gonna throw it all. Yeah, he can run it. I don't think he's gonna have to as much. Plus, with the playoffs, I mean, don't get me wrong, with the playoffs on the line and everything like that, he is gonna have to do everything he can to get this win. I don't think he's gonna have to. He's not going to have to run it as much, though. You know, he does. Remember, he does have D Hop. He does have some weapons on the outside that he could throw to. Even though Larry Fitzgerald is, up there in age, he's still Larry Fitzgerald. And like I said before, dude, the biggest thing is they're going to take advantage of the injuries, all those injuries that San Francisco's had. And remember, who is San Francisco's quarterback again? Who is San Francisco's quarterback?
CJ Beathard, who he's not bad. He's not a bad quarterback actually. I think his career passer rating is like a 90, so he's not a bad quarterback. But that's what he is. He's a backup quarterback. He's still one of the better ones in the league though. But so I mean I wouldn't count Beathard out, especially against that Cardinals defense. What have they actually shown this year? What have they actually shown?
Defense has not.
They haven't really shown up.
Has not.
They haven't really shown. They got some ballers there. Yeah, they got Patrick Peterson still. But like, that's not like an elite defense. It's not like we're gonna be acting like CJ Beathard can't go out there and win this game. And plus, especially like you got to throw out. That's the thing people always discount. Unless the team is bad, unless we're talking about the 0-16 Browns, the 1-15 Browns, the now 1-13 Jets. Unless we're talking about
potential 1-15 Jets.
Unless we're talking about that. Unless we're talking about one of those teams, you can't discount the fact that this is a divisional game. And divisional games matter. Divisional games, like, you're playing this team twice a year. Twice a year. You know exactly what's going on there. Like, Cliff Kingsbury's going to know what's going on in Kyle Shanahan's head. Kyle Shanahan, likewise, is going to know what's going on in Cliff Kingsbury's head because they're more apt to play each other. They've played each other before, and they're going to be playing each other consistently for years to come. Same thing if you look at a team like the Steelers and the Ravens. There's a reason why that rivalry is almost knotted up in exactly the same record. It's because those teams play each other every single year. They know their weaknesses. They study film on those teams specifically because they know at the end of the day, if they want to be successful in the season, they got to beat their divisional rival. And so, like, whenever I see a divisional game, no matter the record, especially a team like the 49ers, a team that plays hard, a team that's well-disciplined, well-coached, that team, I don't see them folding in this game. I think this is going to end up being a closer game than people think. And C.J. Beathard is going to surprise some people. Again, that's just me saying that. But let us know what you guys think in the comments. And Andrew, why don't you let me know? Who do you got winning this game?
Oh, Arizona all the way. Kyler Murray, dude. I've been riding with Kyler Murray since he was at Oklahoma. I love Kyler Murray. I have a nickname for him that I don't think I'm allowed to say. I'm not going to say it. It's funny, but I think Kyler Murray and the boys are going to get it done today. I think you're right though. It is going to be close. I think it's going to go. It might be because they can score points. I really think it's going to be like a 27, like maybe 21 type thing. I think what you're saying is, I know what you're saying. It's going to be a lot closer than people think it is, but I don't think it's going to be that close. I think it's going to be something where like Arizona's going to jump out on them. And then towards the end in garbage time, maybe the 49ers get back in at the end, but it's just going to be garbage time points. You know what I'm saying? It's not really going to be anything, competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I would say that this game is probably going to end up being anywhere between a touchdown to like 10 points, somewhere around that. area in the end. 49ers, the way they can win though, they still have their like monster running back Wilson especially. People are discounting the season that Wilson's had. This kid, he has 6 touchdowns, only like 400 yards on the ground, but he's been good the past few weeks, and I think if they like running the ball is something you're gonna need to do. That's something that C.J. Beathard actually didn't have back when he was starting. I believe 3 years ago when before Jimmy G got there, he was the starter due to injury, but that's something they didn't have. They didn't have that strong running game like they do now with Mostert and Wilson and all them boys. So look for that. Look for that today. Um, Also look for that defense to try to give Kyler Murray problems because, like I said, this is a divisional game, and no one knows Kyler Murray better than other than probably someone like a Sean McVay, really. But no one knows Kyler Murray better than like these 49ers. Like they study film on him because they know how dynamic he is, how dangerous he is with his legs, how dangerous he is with his arms. We all saw that. She hopped down there somewhere. And we know how dangerous this offense is. And that's why I think, I said yesterday when the Ravens are on point, when they're at their best, they're the most dangerous offense in the league. I will say if the Cardinals figure out if they elevate their passing game even more, and if they are able to use Kyler Murray more like the Ravens do Lamar Jackson, and I'm saying if they run the ball more. I think if you run the ball more with Kyler Murray, I know he's small, I know he's short, he probably shouldn't get hit a lot, but if they did, Andrew, that would be the most dynamic offense in the NFL by far. Because not only do you have to account for Kyler Murray and how fast he is and how agile he is and how he can kind of work between the seams, but you also got to account for DeAndre Hopkins down the field. And that is dangerous, especially when you know Kyler Murray can get him the ball anytime he wants. That's when this team becomes dangerous. I think running more RPOs, and this could be a perfect game for them to do that because the 49ers defense, while they got some players who were playing well and probably going to play themselves into starting positions elsewhere, this is not the 49ers defense of last year that kept games close, that dominated and actually scored for their team a lot of the times they need it. This is a decimated team. So look for them. If I'm the Cardinals, this would be a game where I would say, all right, we got to win because if we win, then our likelihood of making the playoffs, we basically clinched because the Bears are 7-7. We don't know. We don't have a lot of confidence in them. The Vikings just played themselves out of the playoffs, so they're not really the only person they're really competing against are the Chicago Bears. And if they win today, I think their chance of clinching the division or clinching a playoff berth is like 95%. So look for them to. If I was them, I would say go for it. Run RPOs, run those play actions, run Kyler Murray, and make that offense dynamic and so especially because you're gonna need to do that in the playoffs. You're gonna need to bring out the best in your offense. You're gonna need to bring out that dynamic element to your offense. If you don't, you're gonna get beat because this team has a lot of holes on defense. You got to keep that ball away from that defense. You got to keep that ball away from that defense because if the more they're on the field, the higher the chances are that the Cardinals lose.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Word. Um. Yeah. So, what's your final score for this game?
I told you. I'm gonna say probably like 27-21 Arizona.
27-21 Arizona. Let us know what you guys think in the chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Subscribe to our Patreon if you can. Again, if you can. If you can't, all good. So let's talk about the 49ers for a second. So the 49ers, obviously, we talked about it, defending NFC champions. They were the team to beat coming into the season. A lot of people thought that they were going to be they were going to try to repeat. Obviously, injuries derailed them. What's the future of the 49ers, Andrew? Where do we see them going? Where do we see them going with Jimmy G? Where do we see them going with Kyle Shanahan potentially? What's up?
Well, first off, Jimmy G, I think Jimmy G is gone after this year. I
You
think
think
Jimmy
he's
G
gone?
is,
Breaking news:
yeah.
Andrew reporting that Jimmy G is gone,
No,
fucking
I'm not
gone.
reporting. I'm not reporting. I'm telling you, I think Jimmy G, I don't think Jimmy G ever really was the guy. I think they got to the Super Bowl basically how most teams like basically the way that the Jared Goff Rams team got to the Super Bowl, their running game and their defense. I don't think he ever really was the guy. I could see him, a lot of people have said they could see him going back to New England. I can too. There was a reason why, like, he was like Belichick's godchild way back when until Brady basically forced him out. So I could see him. I don't see him having a future as it stands right now. I don't see him having a future in San Francisco. I can see San Francisco moving on.
Who did they
Who
move on
San
to?
Francisco moves on to,
That's
that's
the
the
question.
thing. Who they
Because
move
no,
on
no,
to,
you can't get rid of Jimmy G if you don't have the guy after Jimmy G.
dude,
Because
you
especially considering how much
there's
you're paying him, and how do you move that contract? Because they can't cut him. They can't cut him with that contract. He's getting the dude's getting paid over $30 million a year. They can't cut him. So what do you do with that contract? You're gonna have to find a way to trade it. And do the Patriots have the cap room to actually trade for that? That's the other big question because they've been strapped on cap room. This is the reason they signed Cam Newton to the minimum. It's because they couldn't sign him to much else. So that's the problem when we hit this Jimmy G situation. I think they're gonna be, even if they want to get rid of Jimmy G, I think they're gonna be forced to keep him because one, there's really not that one guy you can, definitively say is better than Jimmy G right now. There's not that one guy you can say 100% I have confidence in this guy more than I have confidence in Jimmy G. Like who's out there? Were you gonna say Nick Foles? No. You're gonna say Gardner Minshew? Even I would say no. Were you gonna say Mitch Trubisky? No. Who's like? There's nobody really out there that's gonna entice people. Sam Darnold? No. Like there's no. I don't see that person being out there that people are pointing to and being like, all right, we got our quarterback later, Jimmy. No, it's because all those quarterbacks I just mentioned have a similar, if not the same level of talent as Jimmy G. And I don't see them moving on for one of those guys, especially considering the fact that you would probably have to pay one of those guys. You would have to pay one of those guys big money to come in. Why not keep the guy that took you to a Super Bowl? Granted, he was a game manager. Granted, he, didn't light the world on fire. But at the end of the day, he knows the offense. Players love him. We know that. And he knows how to run that team. And he's run that offense successfully into a Super Bowl before. So I just don't see, unless you can get, you would have to, there's no one out there to get. The only person I could see maybe them moving on for is maybe Marcus Mariota, if you want to take a chance on that, because he might be a better fit for that offense. But even then, I don't see them getting Marcus Mariota because, again, is he that much of an improvement? No.
I mean, there's many directions they can go in. Like, there's many directions that they can go in. Don't forget, dude. I almost called them Oakland. The Raiders are going to have to make a decision now with Derek Carr. When Derek Carr comes back when he comes back from his injury, they're going to have to make a decision on what they're going to do with him. He's probably, that's it. He's probably played his last game for the Raiders. The Raiders are going to have to make a decision because if Mariota does light the world on fire, like the way he came on really strong on Thursday Night Football, let's say they win today. Mariota wins out. Even if, I don't know, I'm trying to think, are they statistically still in the playoff hunt? They might not be. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. But if Mariota does show signs of the old Mariota, the Mariota that Tennessee thought they were getting when Tennessee drafted him, then
The Mariota in Tennessee ruined.
Okay.
Yeah. No, to this day, you will never get me. Like, you will never get me to think otherwise. Mike Vrabel ruined that man. He ruined that man. He put him in a position to fail. He ruined that man's career. No, he ruined his career. He put him in a position to fail. That's why he was injured. We were talking about this last night and you agreed with me, but
yeah,
I don't know why
but
we get to live TV, we get to live on YouTube and now you're disagreeing.
No, because I also agree with you that we have ruined the careers of a lot of very talented players.
Yeah, you guys have.
You give us a good. I'm telling you, we drafted Steve McNair. We had Steve McNair and Eddie George, and then ever since then, it all went downhill.
We got a question in the chat, or more like a statement. All caps by Daryl Grant. I pray that oh my god, I pray that may we please beat the Colts and the Browns, please, or I will not have no more hope in the Steelers no more. Peace. Go Steelers. Well, I'm a Ravens fan, so and the funny thing is, I'm actually rooting for the Steelers this weekend because I need you guys to beat the Colts. I need you guys to beat the Colts. I don't got that much confidence in y'all beating the Colts, but I need y'all to beat the Colts. Um, let's talk about the Steelers. That's been an
Oh,
interesting
if you think
story.
real
That's been an
quick,
interesting story.
if
No,
you
no, no,
think
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
if you think you want the Steelers, just real quick, if you think you want the Steelers to beat the Colts, dude, my team is in a division race with them right now. I'm the biggest fucking Steelers fan tomorrow, dude.
Yeah, no, I think like half the country is probably rooting for the. It's funny. It's funny going into this. I think most of the country was, or going into the past few weeks, most of the country were rooting for the Steelers to lose because you got all the shit going on with Juju, you got all the shit going on with Big Ben and stuff. But now it's just like half the country is rooting for the Steelers to win this week because the Colts losing helps everybody in the AFC out.
Literally
So
everybody.
everybody, I think if the Colts lose, I think the Browns are automatically in. Colts lose, Ravens jump into the division or into the playoffs. Colts lose, Miami's chances increase. Colts lose somehow. Oakland
Colts lose and Tennessee wins. I think if the Colts lose and Tennessee wins, Tennessee automatically wins the division.
Right,
So it's like
right.
everybody needs the Colts to lose tomorrow.
Everybody needs the Steelers to win tomorrow. That's the big thing. And do I have confidence in them right now? Not a lot, honestly. And here's the thing. I said yesterday on the live stream that there are teams that can have adversity, that can overcome that adversity like they have in the middle of the season, right? But that's the thing. If you're gonna lose games, it's always best to lose them in like somewhere in the middle of the season, right? Because you start off hot, got that confidence, come down, get a reality check, and then going into your playoff push or going into your, championship push or whatever, right? You go on a run at the end of the season and you win a few games. That's how a lot of the teams that end up making the run, like the 2010 Packers, the 2012 Ravens, that's how they do it. Even look at the Chiefs last year when they lost Mahomes, they went on a little where they didn't win a few games. So that's the thing where adversity is good, but at the same time, what the Steelers are facing, it's not really adversity. They're not losing games because they're getting screwed or they have injuries or what have you. They're losing games because of bad football. They're losing games because players aren't holding on to the ball. They're losing games because Ben Roethlisberger can't escape the pressure from the pocket, and he's getting way too much pressure in his face. They're losing games because half that a lot of the players on defense are injured, and T.J. Watt is like the last man standing on that defense. They're losing games because they just aren't performing to the level which they can, and we know they can. It's one thing to say, okay, you have a trap game. That happens. People lose games they're not supposed to lose. It happens, right? But to lose, first of all, let's run through the Steelers' past few weeks. They almost lost to the Ravens practice squad. That was a game, actually, when you look at it, the Ravens, if they had scored at halftime, like right before halftime, that they could have won. Granted, now the Steelers did cheat a little bit in that game. I'm not going to get into that, but they almost lose that game. Then they come back the next week, and I believe they lost to, who was it? They lost to somebody, and they lost to the Washington football team. They lost to the Washington football team. They lost to the Buffalo Bills, and they lost this past week. They got dominated, actually. I know the score didn't really say
the
it, but
Bongals.
Cincinnati dominated that game. And I'm not saying dominated as in, oh, they blew them out. That's not what happened, but they had control of the game from beginning to end. And every time the Steelers would come back and score, Cincinnati would do exactly what they needed to do. They would come down and score again. So this Steelers team, their problem is they're not able right now to play that winning football. They're not able to play that football that's going, like, just fundamental football. If you can't hold on to the passes, how are you going to win a game? If you can't hold on to the passes, how's your offense going to run down the field, get first downs? You can't hold on to passes. How's your offense going to score touchdowns? What you need to do if you're playing a team like the Chiefs. What you need to do if you're playing a team, like the Buffalo Bills. What you need to do even if you're playing a team like the Ravens. You got to score touchdowns against those teams. And there's just a lot of holes in the way they're playing. Can they fix them? Yeah, maybe. Can they fix them now in the next 2 weeks? I don't know, because a lot of these things, again, are just are just basic football things that they should have already had down. It's one thing if you're not executing the plays right? If you're running the wrong routes, if you're, doing all that kind of stuff, those things are fixable. You can go to practice, work on those things. But like when you're inside your own head like they are right now, when you're at that point, it becomes way more difficult for them to actually win games and go on a run here. So, that's going to be interesting to see with the Steelers. Again, this week, only week of my life, I'm the biggest Steeler fan in the world because Steelers winning helps me out immensely, helps everybody basically in the entire country. I'm America. This week, Steelers are America's team. Forget the Cowboys. Forget the Patriots. Forget every other team. The Pittsburgh Steelers this week are America's team. And the fucked up part is, Andrew, they're probably going to let us down. They're probably going to let us down. The way they're playing, and especially with the way the Colts are playing as of late, like they're no scrubs. I know you're like, but you got to see that the Titans, we beat them. No. They're not scrubs. This is a game that actually I think the Steelers. Not scrubs. I think this is a game where the Steelers could lose, and no one would be surprised because of the way they're playing. But it's also you have to take into account the fact that the Colts are a good team, and they're getting hot too.
Hey man, my team, we see Indy 2 times a year. I know how good the Colts are. You know what I'm saying? Like the first time we played them, we know what happened. The Titans basically gave up.
Let's talk real quick. Let's talk about that because that's something I wanted to talk about on here for a while. So, Andrew, I'm not gonna let's say once upon a time there was a team had all 3 timeouts left. 3 minutes to go in the game, down by 2 scores, right? You're the head coach of a team. You're any competent head coach of a team. What do you do in that situation? You got 3 timeouts, 3 minutes left, down by 2 scores. What do you do? It's an easy answer.
You run a play. Yeah, you run play action. You send both of your 2 now Pro Bowl wideout. You have a Pro Bowl wideout. You have another dude, Corey Davis, who basically earned his extension this year. You run RPOs, you get them 2 down the field, you score. You put points on the board.
You score, thank you. You pass the ball and you fucking score. Any coach does that. But what did your coach do in that situation? 3 minutes left in the game, 3 timeouts, and down by 2 scores.
He was giving some practice squad guys a tryout.
Which is dumb. You literally gave – I've never seen – I remember watching that live. It was like a Thursday night game. I remember watching that live. I was like, okay, not only are you throwing in the towel. It'd be one thing if this was like, okay, you're playing like a dominant defense. It'd be one thing if you're playing like the number 1 defense in the league and they're like a non-conference opponent or something. Okay, whatever, right? You're playing your divisional rival, though not just any divisional rival. This ain't the Jaguars. This is a team that you're actively trying to beat to get into first place in your division. You're down by 2 scores. With 3 minutes left, effectively 4 timeouts because you got the 2-minute warning too. And you put in your backups. You don't even have your starters on the field, and you just take a knee. And you're telling me nobody on the sideline, no player on the sideline was out there yelling at Mike Vrabel like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, let's go, let's try to win this." Especially considering when 2 weeks ago you guys were down like 40 points to the Browns, you guys almost came back and won that game. Like, so it's not like your offense can't do it. What happened there? Tell me. Tell me what happened there. What was that? Bad coaching? Was that they gave up? What was it?
No, they gave up. That's literally what happened. They literally they just decided, you know what, we're just gonna take this L. They just, I mean, dude, like I remember that was the game where our special teams was just so fucking bad. Like we had the I think that was the game where I forgot who the punter was. He's not even on the team anymore. He had like the 17-yard kick out of bounds. He kicked that one. I think he had one of them blocked that was like returned for a touchdown or something. Like our special teams was just bad. It was just one of those days where like, you just accept defeat. You're just like, you know what? Like we lost. Like today was just not our day. We lost. Let's regroup, try again next week. That's literally what that was.
Right. So we'll talk more about them later. Again, guys, if you haven't liked, shared, or subscribed, be sure to do that. Smash that like button, hit that notification bell to get notified whenever any video is released. Check out the Real Take Sports Talk podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Also, if you can, Little as $2 a month. Support us on Patreon. Again, only if you can. We're here for free as always. Um, all right, let's talk about the night game now, because this is a game that's gonna be, like I said, a lot of eyes on today's game, and this is gonna be the game to watch tonight. The Miami Dolphins take on the Oakland Raiders. Miami, of course, coming into the game 9-5 in that 7th seed for the AFC playoffs. Then you have the Oakland Raiders, who are fighting for their playoff lives. If they lose today, they are eliminated at 7-7. The Raiders are again eliminated if they lose today. So it's a big game for them. Big game for Derek Carr, who's coming off that groin injury, coming back. We saw Marcus Mariota come in there, do some things, not able to get the win last week, which really hurt their playoff chances. Miami, of course, riding the wave of Tua Tagovailoa. He is actually showing that he's proving a lot of people wrong. A lot of people thought he was too small for the NFL. A lot of people thought his game didn't transfer. He was short passing guy, and those people were wrong. My brother included. So again, you guys can also ask us questions in the chat. Feel free, we'll answer them. But Andrew, real quick, what are you looking forward to most from this Dolphins Raiders game?
I am looking forward to Super Mariota is back, and I'm also looking forward to Tua continuing to lead this Miami Dolphins playoff push.
Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa this year, he's been very good. You know, there's been obviously that rookie curve that he's had this year, like all rookies have it to an extent, where he hasn't played as well in some moments. But you look at back to that Chiefs game, he played, especially in the second half, he played very well in that game. You look at a lot of, especially his first few starts when he went 3-0, like Tua was balling out in those games. So.
Well, their defense was also big for them too. That's another thing. Like I know people talk about it. I don't know if a lot of enough people talk about it, dude. That Miami defense, dude. They lost Minka, but the picks they got back from that trade, and just how they built up that defense, dude. Like that's been the major thing, and I think it's honestly helped Tua's development and his like curve in his rookie season. I really think it has helped Tua. Just the fact that he knows for a fact he can take chances because he knows that he has a defense that he can lean on. He knows that, I can make some of these reads. I can throw a ball down the field and not have to worry about the consequences because I have a defense. And they even showed against the Chiefs, like that's a for real defense that he knows that he has a defense that he can lean on.
Big facts, big facts. I think Tua is gonna have a good game tonight, especially against that Raiders defense. We saw what Justin Herbert. By the way, before we go and talk about this game, just want to say Justin Herbert, or as I like to call him, Justin Bear. That dude's gonna be a star. That dude, like everyone's talking about how, that in that AFC West, there's the Chiefs, then there's like nobody else really. The Chargers, if they get a good coach, they stock up on defense. That if they get better on defense, that's automatically like they're gonna be a team just like right up there with the Chiefs. Mark my words, because Justin Herbert can throw that ball. And sometimes it just comes out to that. The ability to throw the ball and deliver the ball accurately downfield. If you can do that, especially against a team like the Chiefs, you can keep pace with them. That means that you're going to be right there. And the entire AFC needs to be on watch for when that happens. But let's talk about this. So Dolphins are going into this. Hopefully, they're trying to clinch a playoff spot. I don't think they clinch automatically with a win, but they need help, and it's weird because I think even if the Dolphins win, they have a less of a chance to clinch a playoff spot than the Ravens do, which is weird considering they're in 7th place. I don't know how that works out. That's NFL math for you. But
the map dude, we need the map dude. You're the map dude, the dude who does the percentages on NBC. What's his name?
Steve Kornacki. Steve Kornacki. No, no. I don't even think he knows what the hell's going on. Like that's the thing. The NFL playoff picture in those playoff scenarios, they're always been weird to me because you're looking at it, you're like, oh, they have a better divisional record, so obviously they're gonna get into the playoffs before this team, right? And you're like, oh, no. We're going by, and they go by different things. It's weird. It's like, no, we're going by points for in interconferential game. I'm like, what? It makes no sense. I don't know how they decide. That's why, at the end of the day, whenever people ask me, oh, what do we need to win to make the playoffs? When Ravens fans ask me that, I'm just like, gotta win. Fucking win out. Yeah. You guys gotta win out and hope for the best. Hope that shit works out. If you win out, odds are you're in pretty good position. But Miami, they can go to 10-6 or 10-5 with a win. Oakland obviously needs this way more than Miami does because any chance that Oakland has of making the playoffs relies on Miami losing and them beating Miami. They have a chance to actually get better. They're 8-7 going into week 17, and they will go to 9-7. Uh, they would also need I think the Ravens to lose 2 games. They would need the Ravens to lose out. They would need to beat Miami. They would need Miami to lose out, and they would also need Indy to lose out. So Oakland Raiders hanging on by a fucking thread here. Oh my god. Or Oakland. I keep saying Oakland, bro. I don't care. They're good. They're always gonna be the Oakland Raiders. I don't care how much they want to say. Oh, we're the Las Vegas Raiders now. They're always gonna be
That
Oakland.
thread's getting cut tonight, though, dude.
That thread could get cut tonight, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I know you don't have a lot of confidence in John Gruden and this team, but I have
Oh,
a
no.
lot. I'm very optimistic about Derek Carr and his ability to show up in these moments. I think Derek Carr is going to surprise a lot of people, and he's going to play a lot better than even you think. But you tell me, what are you looking forward to most in this game? What's the final score?
I don't want to call a blowout, dude. I don't have any faith in the Raiders defense, man. I have no faith in the
That's
Raiders
fair.
defense, especially with
That's fair.
Tua, like Tua being the baller that he is, Devontae Parker. Like I don't have any faith in the Raiders defense. I don't want to call a blowout. I think, whether it's Mariota, I think he can try to score, but like, dude, I have no faith in the Raiders defense. So I want to say 33-17, maybe. Big
That,
spread, TBH. I'm telling you, I'm calling a
that
bigger.
is
I don't
big.
want to
That is
call a
that
blowout, but it's just like
that is it's a huge spread considering what the actual spread is. I'm gonna say. I mean, I've usually kept a lot of these games close when predicting them, but yeah, I think I'm gonna stay with that ride. Actually, I'm gonna go Miami, 31-24. I do see there's a possibility I could see the Raiders winning this. Again, I'm biased because I need Miami to lose. I need Miami to lose because if Miami loses, then and we win this weekend, I think like we're basically gonna be in a good position to clinch the playoff spot going into Week 17. But that being said, the Miami Dolphins. That's a team. So this is a team that's interesting. Consider like just looking back to where they were last year. Last year, beginning of the season, after one game, people were saying, "Oh, they're actively tanking. They're trying to lose. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're not. They're not a team. This team might go 0-16. They might do this." So much talk a year ago. So much talk. And what was the end result? They ended up going like 6-10 under from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Then Brian Flores ended up showing that he's more than a capable head coach. Brian Flores actually, if you look at what he's done in the past 2 years, he might be the most successful former Belichick coach there is, or the best former Belichick coach there is. I know Bill O'Brien was more successful. Yeah, a broom could have coached the teams with DeAndre Hopkins and them to the playoffs. Regardless.
Bill
Let me
O'Brien.
finish. Go ahead. Now you already interrupted me.
What Bill O'Brien has done. What Bill O'Brien has
Turn that
done.
phone off, buddy. Turn that phone off. We're
I'm
live.
sorry. What Bill O'Brien has done to the, mind you, as a Titans fan, I fucking love what Bill O'Brien did to the Texans organization because it's just, how it sets my team up. That's one less hurdle we have to go through in our division.
You really can't put that shit on silent. Like there's a button that does it for you. Like you can just put it on silent.
Stop calling me. I'm sorry. Bill O'Brien pigeonholed the Texans. That's all I want to say. He pigeonholed the Texans. I'm happy because, my team has to go through them. They're not even a threat no more, which is good. That's all I wanted to say. I'm happy about that.
That's fair. But Brian Flores showing that he is one of the best young head coaches in the league. Miami is a team that people thought was out. They were going to be bad for like the next 5 years. So they traded everyone away. Look where they are now. They're right in the middle of a playoff push. This is and with a rookie quarterback, by the way, who's playing extremely well. Like, people thought Tua wasn't a first-round pick. People thought Tua, is he going to be able to come back from the injury? He did. He's back. He's playing well. He's playing his team into the playoffs. Brian Flores, going to be a playoff head coach likely if everything goes well. And a lot of this comes down to, I think this happens a lot of times when people talk, when the media talks, when people talk about teams being terrible or teams actively tanking. The What you notice is the teams that are able to overcome all of that, the teams that are able to overcome how bad they are and all that kind of stuff, they drown it out. They don't care. They don't care about, oh, okay, oh, the media has us going 0-16. Man, I'm on a trash team. They don't care. That's the mentality you gotta have, because at the end of the day, you have to be responsible for what you do. You're not what someone is gonna assume that you're gonna do, or how someone's gonna assume that you play. It ends up being that how you play, how you perform on the field dictates the game. So I'm not surprised, because they have people like Monte Parker, they have people like Tua Tagovailoa, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks at this point in his career. He does not care at one bit what anyone says. Oh, his team's gonna go 6-10. He's been there, done that, done everything, right? He doesn't care. He's been in the league for 500 years. Does not care what anyone says, and doesn't really care what the media has to say. He's just having fun. So you have all these leaders, all these veterans here who just don't care what the media has to say, and I think that trickled down to a lot of the rookies who might be more prone to think like that. So I think that veteran leadership helped them. I think Brian Flores, coming from that Bill Belichick background, actually, this is a situation where the Bill Belichick background actually helped him, because he also just didn't recreate what Bill Belichick's done in New England, like a lot of former New England coaches do. He put his own spin to it. He drowned out the media, but he also wasn't a dick about it, like Belichick is known to be doing. He did it in a way that actually endeared him to a lot of people, and that's the difference between him and Belichick. But yeah, no, Miami's definitely one of, like, I think the best stories coming out of this season. We're gonna look back at the 2020 season. Miami's gonna be like one of the things you talk about. Like, oh my God, like this Dolphins team, nobody expected them to be as good as they are. But if you look at the way they played down the stretch last year, you could easily see that this team was gonna be doing. They were gonna be in the hunt for the playoffs. Like, not a lot of people thought they might be in the hunt for a division. I don't think they are anymore. I think the Bills locked it up. But still, for a long time, it was them and the Bills up there for the division. So, this is a team now that has staying power, not only because they have a good coach who's in his second year in the league, not only because they have a rookie quarterback who's in his first year in the league, not only because they have cap room, not only because now they have the Texans' first-round pick, which is gonna be a pretty damn good pick. You gotta thank Bill O'Brien for that one too.
That's gonna be top 5. Might be top 5. Yeah.
Yeah, they might get like at least a top 10. Definitely a top 10 pick. I don't know. They got to compete with a lot of those NFC East teams, because that's the funny thing. If you're an NFC East team, you're either gonna be like you're gonna have a top 10 pick, or end up with like pick number 20 because you make the playoffs. Which, when you think about it,
I'm trying to think now with the win totals right now. I think most of the NFC East actually already has more wins than Houston. Houston only has 4 wins.
No,
I think most of the NFC East.
Houston has 4 wins, but I think NFC East, like, Eagles have like 3. Wow, that NFC East, yeah, that league is, or that division is bad. Like, they all have like 4 or 5 wins.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and because they're gonna play each other. I'm pretty sure most of the NFC East, because Houston might lose out. I'm pretty sure most of the NFC East is actually going to finish with more wins. So that might end up being a top 5 pick.
Fair. So what do we see the
Thank
Raiders?
Bill O'Brien for that one.
So you were talking about earlier how the Raiders might move on from John Gruden. Why do you say that? Why do you think the Raiders going to move on from John Gruden after this year, considering all the money they paid him, everything that he's been promised?
They're gonna have to do it eventually. He just, after everything they paid him, man, he hasn't. What has he done?
Not much. They've been in the hunt for the playoffs the past 2 years, but that's kind of by default, given like they've been an average team.
That's what I mean. Like, they've been an average team. They haven't done much. What is the lone bright spot? Tell me, in that Raiders organization, you drafted Henry Ruggs. Great. You have Darren Waller, who came out of nowhere. Like, you have Darren Waller, who's a stud. I mean, what are the bright spots though? Their defense sucks. If not, I'm telling you, man, their defense sucks. If not for the Jets basic. If not for that cover zero play call, they would have lost to the Jets. Just wrap your head around that one.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Gruden
right.
hasn't he hasn't done anything.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, you can argue. Yeah, he hasn't really done much. I don't think he's had the impact that they really
And he was
wanted him to
so
have.
good at Monday Night Football, man. He
He
was
was
so
good
good
at
at
Monday Night
Monday Night
Football.
Football.
Although I like the crew they got here now. I like the crew they got there now. I love. The only one I don't like is Brian Greasy, but Steve Levy and Louis Riddick are great. But yeah, no, I mean, was he a better coach? Was he better at Monday Night Football than he was coach for the Oakland Raiders so far? Yeah, much better. He's
Absolutely.
much more effective in that job. But I don't think. Here's the thing. I don't think the problem with the Raiders is that John Gruden specifically. I think their problem is more of a talent problem, because for the longest time, or for like the past few years before Gruden got there, the reason that people saw that defense as a problem was because of Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack really he masked a lot of the problems that that defense had, because you got Khalil Mack there. It's over. That's your number one concern, and that opens up the door for other people to be successful. It opens up the door for him to disrupt the quarterback. Opens up the door for the corners, and that defense is just terrible. I just want to say that defense was terrible even with Khalil Mack. But when
Got
you
a lot of
have that,
Clemson dudes on
when
that
when you
defense,
when you
by the way,
when
might I
you
say.
when you have, I'm gonna ignore that. When you have a lot of when you have that dominant player, it makes up for that. Is what I'm trying to say. So the Oakland or the Las Vegas Raiders, their problem is they just don't have the talent anymore. They don't have that Khalil Mack making up for their lack of talent, lack of ability on the back end. So when you trade away arguably the best defensive player in the league, I think it's like him and Aaron Donald, you could argue are the two best defensive players in the entire league right now. When you trade him away, and that's your first move as coach, yeah, that's a huge stain. Your team, you better find a way to draft some players. You better find a way to use those picks to make up for that loss, because that defense stinks in general. What he should have done from the beginning is, they didn't want to pay him. Well, why the hell do you have Derek Carr on the team? Who's like proven that like he's a good quarterback, but he's not that great guy because he's never elevated anyone really to great success. Everyone wants to say, Darren Waller came out of nowhere. No, he really didn't. I saw Darren Waller. He was on the Ravens practice squad for a while. Granted, he didn't get a lot of playing time, but when he did, he was a lot of the times he was Flacco's number one target in the red zone. You could see that there was a connection there. He liked to go to Darren Waller because he's a big body. He can block as a tight end, and he can go up and get the ball. So when people say, he made Darren Waller, he really didn't. Darren Waller always had the ability. He just never got the chance to play. But Derek Carr hasn't done much. So Khalil Mack was your best player, and that's when this all went wrong. That's when this went downhill for the Las Vegas Raiders, when they traded away Khalil Mack. Ever since then, they haven't recovered from that. And I don't think they're going to recover from that, because at this point it's too late. But you also can't get rid of John Gruden if you're the Raiders, because you're the owner. You're Mark Davis. He's in debt, like I think $700 million or something to Bank of America right now, because he took a gamble by moving that team to Las Vegas, because he wanted to have a new stadium. He wanted to have like the pomp and circumstance, and now he kind of got screwed over through COVID, because no one's ever allowed to really come in and watch the games. But he's in debt a lot of money, and he's invested a lot of money, over $100 million into John Gruden. I think his contract might even be guaranteed. He's got an ownership stake, so they have way too much riding on Gruden to actually get rid of him. So he's going to be there. The question is, how do you build around what you already got? And if you're John Gruden, how do you make this team better? Because you're going to be the coach at least for the next 5 years. And that's the question they got to answer.
I'm not going to call them a dumpster fire, dude, but because there are other organizations that are dumpster fires, but that Raiders organization, I mean, that they're moving laterally, man. They're not really going nowhere. It's, you want to go longitude? No, they're moving laterally, man. They're going nowhere, dude. Especially what sucks is What sucks for them too, dude, is in that division, dude. Mahomes ain't going nowhere. I don't know how the hell the Chiefs managed to keep all them dudes. I don't know how the hell the Chiefs still managed to keep all
Oh,
them dudes.
there's like there's definitely like some sort of racket going on there. I don't. There's no way the Chiefs could have kept all those guys that they've paid. They paid like everybody so far, and they're expecting to pay more people.
Everybody.
They're expecting to pay more people, and they've given out the largest contracts I think to a defender and an offensive player in NFL history. They've given out a contract to like virtually everyone. It's just like, where are they getting all this money? And forget the money. Like you could have billionaire owners. That's fine. Where are they getting this cap room from? Because the Ravens don't have that cap room. The Patriots, I don't even know who the hell they're paying. They have no cap room. Who the hell are the Chicago Bears paying? They have like, I think they might be under the cap. I legitimately think they might be under the cap. Turn your phone off. They might be under the cap. So I don't get where the Chiefs are getting all this money from, because it's not like even a situation where everyone's on their rookie deal. Like, dude, you got offensive linemen you're paying. You got defensive linemen you're paying.
Dude, no.
You're paying
They
Pat
already
Mahomes
they
$500
re-upped
million.
Reek. They re-upped Reek. Travis Kelsey, $100 million. Kelsey's making $100 million. Fucking Mahomes. Doesn't Mahomes have the fattest contract in the history of the NFL? Like
$500 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't they pay? They paid who was the defensive lineman? Was it Clark?
Jones. Oh yeah, it might have been.
No,
Clark.
Jones. That's who it was. It was. I forgot who it was. And then I'm sitting up here like, and they're somehow going to retain Honey Badger. How?
They're talking about Nicole Hartman eventually getting re-upped. It's just like,
That's what I'm
where do
saying.
you get this money from? I get it. I have no problem with that. Like, okay, I do have a problem with them actually retaining all these people, because it's
you know
terrible
what's gonna
for the
happen.
NFL,
They're gonna find money to pay Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's already a baller. Like,
I don't even know how you do
that's
that.
part of the reason. That's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why the Raiders are screwed, though, because they can make the Chiefs are somehow making cap room and money appear out of fucking nowhere, and you have the emergence of Justin Herbert, who I feel bad because I think Justin Herbert is a talent, and the Chargers got a good one with that one. I just think Justin Herbert's going to be one of those, unless Kansas City falls off a cliff, Justin Herbert, we're never going to get to see Justin Herbert fully ascend.
I think
we're going to see him be very, 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 very good, but he's never going to, because he's got Mahomes in the division.
I think no. I disagree. I think we are. I think we're going to see Herbert. I think Air Bear is going to. All they need to do is get a competent defense. That's all they got to do. You might want to also think about bringing in, if they're going to hire a new head coach and get rid of Anthony Lynn, I think, what's his name? Robert Saleh from the San Francisco 49ers is the perfect fit for that organization, because, he's a California dude. He's coming from San Francisco, led that defense to dominance last year. He's a no nonsense kind of guy, and but the players love him because he knows how to rile them up. He knows how to motivate them. So I think Saleh would be a good pick for that team, because that team needs to focus on defense. Offense, they're pretty good. That's a good that's an offense. They've gone toe to toe with a lot of the big ballers in the league, and Herbert, all he needs to do is develop just a little bit more. The dude's already star. Like, if you watch him throw the football, like I said, dude's a star. So I think he's gonna be there. They just need to get a defense. They get that defense in order. The other thing is, I think people are sleeping on Drew Lock. I think people are sleeping on Drew Lock, on Denver. Granted, that's not really a good offense, but Drew Lock, if you watch him play, it's not his fault that team is bad at all. That team is bad because they can't play defense. That team is bad because they don't really Philip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon really haven't shown up in the way that you expected them to be in supporting a young quarterback like Drew Lock. But Drew Lock, he's out there. He's got that talent. If you watch him play, he's like I would say Joe Flacco, and I mean this in a good way. He's Joe Flacco in the playoffs at his best every game. So it's just like he's out of he's actually out of this world good when everything's clicking and when he has time to get to his receivers. That's the other problem. Their offensive line is really shitty. So I think Denver is also going to be, they're going to be a problem. I'm not saying that, the Chargers and Denver might win the division. The only way that that's really happening if Pat Mahomes goes down with an injury, which, probably not going to happen every single year. So, but they're going to be a problem for the Chiefs, and I think you even could have a situation where the Chiefs, you know, might end up losing the division one of these years if Pat Mahomes gets injured, or if like Pat Mahomes somehow underperformed, because even the best have bad years. We saw Tom Brady's done it. We saw Peyton Manning had bad years. We've seen everyone have off years. It happens in the NFL, but so
Except
I
Aaron
don't.
Rodgers somehow.
Well, yeah, because Aaron. Oh, he's had a bad year. I think 2017. Like that was a mix of he was injured, but also he just didn't have anyone to throw to. He was turning the ball over like crazy. So even Aaron Rodgers, someone like him, has had down years. But that happens to everyone. So it's not like we should expect the Chiefs to dominate literally, or we shouldn't expect them to not have any problems going forward. But I don't know. They're obviously still going to be the team to beat, I think, every year though. So it doesn't really matter what I'm saying right now. Again, guys, if you haven't hit that like button, be sure to do that. Share, subscribe, please. We got new videos coming out every single week on a lot of stuff. You guys can comment, ask us any questions right now if you want to ask us any questions. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released, and check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. That's Real Take Sports Talk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Also, be sure to check out our Patreon if you can. Again, if you can, little as $2 a month, help support the show. Whatever you want, patreon.com/Real Take Sports. Andrew, so as we're winding down, what else this week are you looking forward to in the NFL? I know your Titans got a big game coming up. What else are you looking forward to?
That's all I'm looking forward to right now. Sunday night, 8:20 NBC. I'm looking forward to my team getting a primetime game against the Packers and Aaron Rodgers.
You guys winning?
Yeah, we're winning. Derrick Henry's going to rush for 220 and just get himself a couple, I think 100 and something, maybe 110, 115 yards away from 2,000. Absolutely.
Any chance
I need it too because it's the only way we're going to win. I need it because what the
Well, okay.
What?
Well,
Which
before okay, forget that. Actually, yesterday I was talking about Derrick Henry, and I was saying how your entire team is more so dependent on a running back than any other team in the league. And
yes,
it's good because Derrick Henry can take over games, but it's bad because we saw what happened against the Chiefs. When your team gets down, you can only run the ball so much. You're gonna have to throw the ball. It's the knock that Lamar Jackson gets a lot of times, rightfully so. So you're down. Okay, let's say you're down in the playoffs. So, do you have the confidence? You can't really win by running the ball. Do you have the confidence in Ryan Tannehill to bring you guys back down?
I do this year. A lot.
Okay.
I have a lot more confidence this year than I do last year.
Your coach doesn't seem to have that confidence because, down by 2 touchdowns against the divisional rival, he decided to just take a knee.
Trust me, dude. AJ Brown was just voted to a Pro Bowl. Corey Davis is about to get re-upped. He's got options now. I think it was more or less he didn't realize the kind of options that he had last year until this year.
That wasn't what I was talking about. That wasn't last year. That was 4 weeks ago.
I know it was. I forgot which week it was where we gave up against the Colts. I just think it's different this year. Remember last year we were an upstart team. A lot of people were like, it was a shock when we beat the Patriots. Then it was a shock that we not only beat the Ravens by the margin that we beat the Ravens, and then the fact that we kind of jumped on the Chiefs early on was kind of like, what the hell is happening here? I think it's different this year, though. It's different just because they have a lot more faith now in the wideout. It's we didn't have. Remember, Corey Davis, the jury was still out. Is this team going to re-up him? Do they give him an extension? Corey Davis has proven this year, yeah, keep that man in Tennessee. AJ Brown, second-year player, he's wide receiver 1. He's in my top 5 wide receivers in the NFL, by the way. I have a bias, and he's a Pro Bowler. So I think now we actually have a lot more faith in our receivers this year than we do last year. Plus Tannehill, now that he's in year 2, he has shown that, he has faith in these guys, and they've built up the chemistry. You got to understand, dude, he took over in week 7. Yeah, our game was predicated on the running game, but he didn't really have all that time to really build up chemistry. Now he's had a full season with these dudes, and you've seen, dude, AJ Brown took off. So I think it's a lot different. If we get into a playoff game and we are behind, yeah, that outlier a couple weeks ago was we gave up, but it's
Is
different.
that
I
an
think it's going to
is
be a
that
lot
an
different
outlier though?
moving
Because
forward.
that's indicative, dude. No, I think I don't think you're as worried as you probably should be, because that's indicative of not only lack of confidence in Ryan Tannehill, that's indicative of lack of confidence in your offense to execute like very crucial 2-minute drills. You want to say, oh, we didn't want to get Derrick Henry injured. When you're passing the ball, Derrick Henry's odds are he's not going to be on the field anyway. You guys are going to have your backup running back in there because he's more versatile. But you're down.
That's
Okay,
definitely
let's
true.
say let me give you an example. Playoffs. You're playing a dominant like defense, like the Ravens on the back end. Good, like very good pass defense, right? You're playing them. You're down by, let's say, 10 points 7 minutes ago. Are you trusting Ryan Tannehill can bring you back from that? Oh, the fact that you had to think about it that long. Oh, that tells me everything I need to know. That tells me everything I need to know.
I mean,
You
he
have
did
no
do it
faith
once
as a
before.
Titans.
He did
As
do it this year, though, against your Ravens. He did do it this year. I watched Corey Davis break how many? Not Corey Davis. I watched AJ Brown break how many tackles?
That's fine. That's fine. He did
Fucking
do it.
bullied his
But
way into
but
the end
can but
zone.
can he
Yeah,
do it in the play? But can he do it in the playoffs?
I think he can, and he will. When my Titans go to the Super Bowl
Cool.
and win it.
Hopefully, well, you have more faith in your quarterback than your coach seems to have. So we'll see about that. Let's go to the chat. Can't wait to see the Dolphins lose tonight. Yeah, neither can I.
LOL.
I think look, that's another game. Everyone's rooting for the Dolphins to lose because that's the thing that helps out everybody, and yeah, it only hurts people in Miami. So people don't care about that. Yeah. Yesterday I got a question in the chat about the Titans. Actually, there's this guy Kawhi Jennings. I don't know if Kawhi Jennings is here. If he's one of the few people watching, but if you are here, Kawhi, let us know. I swear to God, this guy, like he was talking about the Titans a lot. He was talking about how the Cowboys are like he sounded exactly like you. I was convinced for the longest time that it was you, Andrew. I was convinced for the
No,
longest time it was you. I even called you and I was like, Andrew, like what were you doing in the chat? But apparently he
wasn't in the
wasn't.
show. I was watching the Bucks game. That beat down.
Yeah, Bucks did get beat down. But so tell me, um, who gets in? Who gets into the playoffs this year in the AFC? Who do you think ends up getting in? Give me your seedings.
My seedings.
Yeah, your seedings.
All right. Kansas City is going to be the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Who's my 2 seed? I'm trying to remember. I drew this out too. I think it's impossible for us to get the 2 seed. Kansas City is going to get the 1. The 2 seed is Buffalo. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty much set in stone. Literally the 3 seed. This is hinging on Tennessee winning out. We're going to get the 3 seed if we win out. And I think if we win out and the Steelers beat the Colts, it's going to knock the Colts, I think, out of playoff contention. So they're out. The Steelers would then, because I think the Steelers would win the division if they win tomorrow. If the Steelers win tomorrow, they win the division, right?
Yeah. Then they would
So
have
then, no,
12 wins.
that would bump us down. So the Steelers would be 3, we would be 4. And then I'm going with Miami, dude. I'm going with Miami and the Ravens. No, not the Ravens, the Browns. I mean.
What's your third team? There's 3 teams. Remember?
Oh yeah, Miami, the Browns, and then yeah, the Ravens. I forgot. There's another team. They're adding a 7th team. So yeah,
Yeah.
all 3 of you guys get in.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Your team's gonna get 3 teams in.
Yeah, I think
Division's gonna
I
get
think
3
so
teams
too.
in,
I think so too. I think so too.
and Indy's getting left out.
That's the one place I disagree with you. I see Miami falling behind, and the way the seeding works is if the Ravens get a game up on Miami, then I think they end up being pushed out, but the Colts, if they win out, they end up being the 6th seed instead, not the 7th seed. So I think Miami is going to end up going out. I agree with your seeding. So it's going to be Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and then Baltimore. But it also depends on what happens
Ravens.
tomorrow with the Steelers, because I'm rooting for the Steelers to win, so that my team has a
As
better
am I.
chance to make the playoffs. Everyone is, but do I have the confidence that they're going to be able to do it? Not really. I'm very not confident in this game, and considering the fact you got Phillip Rivers there, who's a turnover machine his entire career, but hey, they couldn't get RG3 to turn the ball over, so I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen in that game, but that's what I see in the NFC. Now, the NFC is interesting. The NFC, that's very interesting because so we know that Green Bay with a win this week, I think they lock it up as far as the number one seed goes, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong
It's
in the
not
chat,
happening.
but Green Bay is probably gonna win against Tennessee. If I had to make a
No.
decision, I'm making a decision that Green Bay is gonna rock Tennessee this week. I think you're in for a rude
Bet the
awakening.
house on Tennessee.
All right, bet you $50.
I want everyone in the chat, everyone watching, bet the house on Tennessee. You'll thank me later.
You gonna ignore my bet for $50 on the
No,
Packers?
I'll take it. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, you got video evidence now. You
Mm-hmm.
still owe me. By the way, you still owe me like a bunch of money from all those bets I made like 3 years ago.
I'll get you your money. Send me an
Word.
invoice.
Yeah, word. Also, all right. So we got Green Bay up there. Green Bay number 1, Saints number 2, number 3 I believe is gonna end up being the Seahawks. Number 4 is going to end up being whoever wins that god awful NFC East. So that's a tough one. I see the Giants losing to the Ravens this week, and that's the only reason I say Washington is probably going to end up getting in because they're going to end up having one game up. So Washington gets in. That's going to be the
Do
team.
the
in the
Cowboys play
NFC East.
tomorrow? I'm trying to think. Who do the Cowboys play?
It doesn't matter who they play. They're not winning. So then the wild cards come in. I believe the wild cards are, correct me if I'm wrong, as of this moment.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. They win today and they're in automatically. They're going to be the 6th seed or the 5th seed. Then the 6th seed is, I believe, the Arizona Cardinals, correct? Or they might be the 7th.
I think so.
But it's a mix of the Arizona Cardinals and
San Francisco, right?
San
No,
Francisco?
the Rams.
No.
The Rams. The Rams. The
Oh,
Rams.
the Rams. Yeah, I forgot. They lose to the
They don't
Jets
deserve
once.
They don't deserve
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
in, though.
They
deserve
lost
get
to the
in, though.
Jets.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You
no,
lost to
I'm
the Jets.
sorry.
That's you. No.
Sorry for any Rams fans out
They
there.
get a 1-year
but
ban. They get a 1-year ban.
Yeah. That like they deserve to get banned way more than the USC deserved to get banned that 1 year. Like it was like so let's talk. I'm gonna talk about the Rams real quick. So the LA Rams, as they're known today, formerly known as the St. Louis Rams, have been they're a very inconsistent team. And it comes down to the play eventually of Jared Goff. And that's just who he is. Jared Goff has been an inconsistent quarterback for most of his career. He's had great highs, he's had some lows, but at the end of the day, he's going to dictate where this team goes. If he plays well, this team could end up going back to a Super Bowl. But if he doesn't, if he plays like the way he played against the Jets, if that offense doesn't show up like they did against the Jets, it's not going to be good for them. And that's a team that's going to be on the outside looking in for a few years. So,
Jared Goff is a broke man's Tannehill. I'm sorry. No, not sorry.
No, he's not. He's not, because Jared Goff is not a broke man's Tannehill. Tannehill is probably a broke man's Jared Goff, because one of those quarterbacks has actually been to a Super Bowl. One of those quarterbacks has actually been to the playoffs more than once. One of those quarterbacks has actually led his team to more than one successful season. So I take actually umbrage with that. I don't think that's true at all. I think Ryan Tannehill is in a unique position. He's surrounded by an immense amount of talent. You cannot deny that. Ryan Tannehill's success is primarily due to that he doesn't turn the ball over, but you can find that like throughout the league. But his success is primarily due to the fact that the dude has Corey Davis, he has AJ Brown, he has
best running back in the NFL.
Best running back in the NFL, arguably the best running back in modern NFL history. If we're gonna be honest, I'll even say it as a Ravens fan.
Most dominant in a while.
Most dominant in a long time. It's like he's what Derrick Henry's done the past few years is unique, but you're telling me that the supporting cast that Ryan Tannehill has around him is on the same level as the supporting cast that Jared Goff has? No, it's not. No. Ryan Tannehill by far has a better supporting cast, and the dude, if you just look at him for his entire career, even when he had good players in Miami, he really couldn't do anything with them. because he never developed into that guy. The
I put
reason
that
he
one on
suc
Adam Gase.
But it wasn't just Adam Gase. He had Joe Philbin for a while, who was Aaron Rodgers' guy for the longest time. He was Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. So it's not just on Adam Gase. I think he played the same amount of time with Gase than he did with Joe Philbin. So it's not just one player. It's not just one coach. It's not just about that. It's not just about that. It's also about just who he is. I'm not saying he's bad. Again, I'm just saying that I think his success is primarily more due to the team rather than Ryan Tannehill, because we've seen what Tannehill can do. He's not going to be the guy to lead your team to victory. He's going to be the guy who's there. He's going to be that game manager type. And, he's a good game manager, but that's just who he is.
The same can be said about Goff, though. That's the issue. When they
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
the Super
no,
Bowl, dude, they got there
yeah,
on the legs of Todd Gurley and that defense. So, and
yeah.
Tennessee doesn't have a defense anywhere near. Our secondary is nowhere near what that Rams team had. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough. I just see the Rams. I think the Rams, or I think Jared Goff is just a better quarterback, better thrower of the football.
plus he
too.
has Aaron Donald. We don't have a pass rush. So, yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you asked. You're the one who asked for Jadeveon Clowney. You were begging on this podcast for Jadeveon Clowney.
I did want Clowney.
Like that might be like the most embarrassing take you've ever had.
I wanted Clowney.
That and your take on DeAndre Hopkins. But we'll get into that this week on the podcast. Be sure to check that out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Check out the podcast, like I said. Also, check out the archives. You got some great videos in there. The YouTube archives has videos ranging from college football, NFL, NBA, and whatever the hell else we wanted to talk about that week. Check that out. Check us out on Twitter at Real Take Sports, Facebook.com/Real Take Sports Talk, Patreon.com/Real Take Sports. We'll take your questions too in the chat. So we'll do that. Andrew, so we're coming up to game time. I think we have about 30 minutes left before game time. We'll probably go off the air around 1 o'clock to go watch the games. And then, again, you can follow us on Twitter for that, for Andrew's amazing takes on the games. I think, Andrew, you want to do some live tweeting today? We'll do some live tweeting today on the games?
I am taking a brief break from Twitter for the sake of my mental health. So
Shouldn't we all? Okay.
the app has since been deleted.
Someone will be live tweeting. Today. But let's just put a bow on this though. So how do you think the NFL is going to do? Because the big question going into the playoffs is now, we kind of know what the teams are that's going to end up being in the playoffs. There's still some things to be worked out with the Ravens and the Dolphins and those teams in the AFC, but NFC is pretty much locked up. AFC, you've got it's pretty much, we know what the teams are. The question going into the playoffs is the NFL going to be able to pull off the playoffs during COVID-19, during a pandemic? And I asked this question because we saw what happened with the Broncos when they lost their quarterbacks. That was not a football team they put on the field. Like that was just not a complete football team. You can't have a team without a quarterback. We saw what happened with the Ravens. Granted, they were playing the Steelers, they almost won that game, but that was a practice squad team. They were making easy mistakes. We see what happens when teams are decimated by COVID-19. So you're in the playoffs. My question is, you're in the playoffs. You are the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, God forbid, gets COVID. And Russell Wilson's out, and you have, I'm not sure who exactly the backup quarterback is, but you end up having to play the backup quarterback who, is not good as Russell Wilson. And you basically end up in a situation where your team's done because he's your best player. You rely on him primarily to run your offense. You rely on him primarily to score points. You rely on him to execute and be the guy because they don't really have much else. So what do you do in that situation? Same thing if Lamar Jackson goes down again. Same thing if another team, if Pat Mahomes goes down. That entire team is different, and it gets to the integrity of the game. There's been calls for a bubble. There's been calls by the media. There's been calls by even some people in the Players Association for a potential bubble. Players voted no on that for the regular season, and I get why. 16 weeks, or 20 weeks, actually, when you think about it, in a bubble, if you count all the quarantine time, that's a lot. But I think for the playoffs, that's not asking a lot, because you would only have 14 teams, and each week different teams would get eliminated. and it'd only be for about 4 weeks. So I think a bubble in the playoffs would be actually a good idea for the long term, as far as legitimizing the playoffs and legitimizing the competition in the playoffs in case someone gets injured, and it would avoid or gets COVID-19. It would avoid actually people getting COVID-19. What do you think about that idea?
Why not just have all the playoffs played in Jerry World?
Why not? He built a big ass stadium.
Just have it all played in Jerry World. Just send everyone down to Dallas, put them all in. Yeah, you say a bubble. Just put them in a bubble, quote unquote, and just have every game played in Jerry World. Help move the Super Bowl from Tampa Bay to Jerry World. That's the answer.
Honestly, it might be a good answer because that's the closest the Cowboys would actually get to the playoffs this year. But I won't go into that. I think they should bubble up. I think it makes sense. The way the NBA did it, especially for the playoffs, made a lot of sense. I think the NFL should do it. And for people who say, "Oh well, yeah," like I know a lot of fans are just like, "The COVID-19 doesn't really matter." Like it does, whether you like it or not, it does, and it doesn't. And for a second, let's forget about the whole sickness aspect of it. At the end of the day, the rules are: you get COVID, you're not playing. You can argue about whether or not it's that harmful of a sickness. You can argue anything you want. At the end of the day, if someone catches COVID, they're not playing. That's the primary. That's the primary concern when you're just strictly talking about football. When you're strictly talking about football, if they can't play, you're screwed. So why wouldn't the NFL put themselves in a situation where they wouldn't risk that, where they wouldn't risk a Pat Mahomes or a Russell Wilson or someone else catching COVID-19 and then missing a playoff game? Because we saw it happen when Lamar Jackson missed a playoff game. We saw it like Ravens were a totally different team. Saw what happened in Denver. We saw what happened when the Patriots had to play. I think it was Brian Hoyer and Stidham, and they didn't really know who to play, and they lost that game. So you can't. So you can't just look at it from like people want to delegitimize the sickness. Personally, I disagree with you emphatically, but like you're strictly looking at it from football perspective. It's not even like if your concern is you want to keep the players healthy, you want to keep them on the field, given what the rules are, you should be for a bubble. And I think players, at least for the playoffs, should be for a bubble. It just makes more sense.
I agree, though, especially since, like, when you think about it, dude, like a lot of the games that have been played this year, they've allowed limited fans or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see some stadiums that are like pretty much empty. You know what I'm saying? So it would make no difference to just have it played at a neutral site and everything like that. The Super Bowl's played at a neutral site anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about this when we talked about this like a while back on the podcast, dude. When we talked about home field, home court advantage or something like that, that's a real thing. Well, you know what? In the playoffs, some teams are not going to have that. So it's just going to come down to which team executes better, which team, because let's be honest, dude, there have been people that have said, I agree with them. Once again, I have a bias, but there have been people that have said partially what contributed to Tennessee losing last year in Kansas City, besides Kansas City coming back, dude, was Arrowhead is one of the toughest places in the entire NFL. Out of all the venues that hosts an NFL game, Arrowhead is one of the toughest. Remember how Seattle used to have their 12th man or something like that? Remember how people used to make jokes about how the Patriots, their 12th man was on the field with them, the Zebras. So, but all jokes aside, dude, Arrowhead, that's a tough place to play. So by eliminating that, dude, we're actually going to see, like which teams in a playoff atmosphere, which teams are for real. Move
Facts.
to a bubble. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I think
we saw with the NBA playoffs. Remember what we saw with the NBA playoffs, dude? I'm telling you. Not having that home court advantage in the NBA playoffs, dude, that's why you saw teams like Boston, like Toronto, like Milwaukee bow out to a young team like Miami. Because even Paul George admitted, dude, I know we're talking about football, but even Paul George admitted, like, not having the fans there, it is an adjustment. It should be easier to play. Some people feed on the fans, and some people also feed on the fans while the fans are feeding them and helping them become more energized. It also makes it easier for you to play defense because you got the hecklers, you got at a Raptors game, dude, you got Drake sitting courtside, he's talking shit to the point guard of the other team or something like that, getting in his head. You know what I'm saying? Like home court, home field is a real thing. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. If they do go to a bubble, they don't allow any fans this year for the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see, because that could dictate. That could end up dictate. You could see a team like Kansas City, who in the past has I'm not going to say they're going to lose, but not having home field, especially in the playoffs, dude. You could see a team like Kansas City fall to a team who just plays better than them. You know what I'm saying? Because they wouldn't get a chance to have a game on their home field with their home fans.
Oh wow, I just got some sad news. Um, yeah, I guess I'm gonna talk about it. So those of you guys who don't know, there's a running back from the University of Utah, Ty Jordan. So actually doing very well this season. I just learned that he passed away today, apparently, and he's had a pretty good season, averaging 7.2 yards per attempt, and I think over 600 yards. Yeah, he just passed away, following quote an accident. Here's the quote from the Denton Police Department. Quote, following a preliminary investigation, we do believe that this was an accidental shooting where the victim accidentally shot himself. Wow. That's sad. I saw him play. He was having a good season. That's sad.
It's tragic.
That's very tragic. Young guy, freshman too. Very young guy. That's tragic.
My condolences.
Yeah, condolences obviously to his family and the Utah community. That's just sad, especially when you see someone that young go down. But yeah, but going back to the NFL, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think Adam Schefter, is about to announce the. All right, reconnection successful. Let's see. I think we're back. Yeah. Yeah, we're back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties, internet connection went out for a bit, but we are back. I'm gonna try to get Andrew back as well before we, end the show. I think we only have about 20 or so minutes left here. But as I just announced, Gardner Minshew, the pride of Jacksonville and the pride of Real Take Sports Talk, best player, one of the best young players in the NFL, most underrated young players as well.
And the pride of Washington State, Wazoo. Can't forget that one.
As you guys just heard, we got Andrew back. But yeah, so Adam Schefter just tweeted out that Gardner Minshew, again, quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is being benched in favor again of Mike fucking Glennon. No disrespect to Mike Glennon, but damn, it's just a shame.
They must really want sunshine.
They must. They know they're in the sunshine sweepstakes and they're taking full advantage of it. That's the only place where you got to commend them. They know exactly what they're doing in that aspect. I will say though that it's weird because it doesn't really have anything to do with Gardner Minshew. This is a decision I don't think has much to do, if anything, with Gardner Minshew. It has everything though to do with that number one pick, because Minshew's been playing well. Minshew has been playing exceedingly well this year. I think he has 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, or 5 interceptions, something like that.
Who's Duval playing tomorrow?
I don't know who they play tomorrow, but I think they play the Colts in Week 17. The team, by the way, Minshew beat. That was the last win that the Jaguars had. But
it'd be so nice if he beat them.
But again, this is like a situation where it's just like your quarterback comes in. Yeah, the team gets beat down, but that had nothing to do with Minshew. It had nothing to really do with the offense. If you look at it, it had everything to do with that defense just being bad and getting run through by the Baltimore Ravens. But yeah, I don't get it. It's just, I get it on a level of, you want to secure, now that you're in the Sunshine Sweepstakes, you got number one, you're in place for that number one pick. You want to secure that. But at the same time, just from a football perspective, if we're actually going by who gives you the best chance to win, then it's obviously Minshew. Mike Glennon he shouldn't even be a starter in the NFL. It's just it baffles me. We'll talk about it more, I guess, on this week's show. That will be dropping later on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and some clips right here on YouTube. Be sure to check that out. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Follow us on Twitter at Twitter /Real Take Sports. Facebook.com/Real Take Sports Talk. Patreon.com/Real Take Sports. We'll also be taking your questions, guys, for like the last remaining time we have. So where are we where are we? Do you think as far as the draft order goes? I know you hate. You have this irrational hatred for anything Clemson, but
Not
um,
irrational. It's
no, no,
justified.
100% irrational hatred for anything Clemson. You don't think Sunshine is an NFL caliber quarterback. You don't think he's anywhere close to being a starter in the league. That's fine. I disagree, but that's fine.
Oh, I never
Um,
said that.
I mean, I mean, apparently you said he's not worth it if he doesn't go undefeated his first year, right? I believe that's what you sent me last week when we were talking about Sunshine. By Sunshine, obviously, before people get confused, by Sunshine we mean Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence. But no, you
I
basically
refuse
said
to say his name. I will never say his
yeah.
name.
Andrew will never say Trevor
He
Lawrence's
will
name.
forever be Sunshine.
But yeah, future number one overall pick Trevor Lawrence. According to Andrew, unless he goes undefeated and leads his team to a Super Bowl in his first year, he's a bust.
I never said that. What I said was.
Okay,
what I said
well,
was.
give
What
me a
I
second
said was.
while I pull up the text, and I will pull them up onto the
No.
screen as well. Oh,
What I
because
said
you know I'm
was.
right.
He's being compared when he's compared to Andrew Luck. I
Yep.
saw Andrew Luck have far more success as a rookie in that division that he's going to be going to in Jacksonville. I saw Andrew Luck have a lot more success. So I was like, if you're going to compare him to Andrew Luck, that man better set foot the minute he sets foot
Right.
onto Duval County.
So question. Did is Trevor Lawrence going to have anyone to the caliber of Reggie Wayne to throw to? No. Is Andrew Luck going to have
Probably not,
anyone to
no.
the caliber of Pierre Garçon to throw to? No.
Probably not, no.
Is Trevor Lawrence going to have anyone to the caliber of Robert Mathis or Dwight Freeney on defense in his rookie year? On that
Probably
Jacksonville
not,
defense?
no.
Probably not, no. Is he going to have anyone like Bob Sanders or Bethea on the back end to help him out
Probably
on
not, no.
defense? No. So
Boy better use his legs then. He's going to be on his
So-
back a lot.
so-
Boy
so-
better
so-
use
so
his
the-
legs.
So yeah, so the question becomes: you think that if he doesn't win the division or if he doesn't make the playoffs in his first year, he's a bust? We're talking about Trevor Lawrence, of course, for those of you who just joined us. So, explain to me how you can have that much. Again, I think they actually might end up going like 6-10, 7-9, and being built up for the next few years. But how do you come to that conclusion? Other than take Clemson out of it because I know you're biased against anything that's Clemson. Take Clemson completely out of it. What do you see in his game that's wrong? Or that's lacking, or that's missing? What is it about his game that you disagree with that doesn't have anything to do with Clemson?
I don't think he can handle the physicality of the NFL.
Even though he's been hit by NFL caliber players?
I watched him get leveled by an NFL caliber corner last year in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah,
and the dude got ejected, and Sunshine did not get back up. Well, they had to carry him off the field. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. He came back and everything like that.
He came back and he won the game. Like, what are you talking about? He came back and he won the game. I don't know what you're talking about.
Under
controversy, whatever. He came back and he came back and he still played great. like that point doesn't hold any water, bro. And to quote, my cousin Vinny, it doesn't hold water. I don't understand why. Again, I get you hate Clemson. There's teams I hate too. I hate the Steelers. Doesn't mean every single person on the Steelers is a terrible player. Doesn't mean I don't see the talent in someone like Ben Roethlisberger or Troy Polamalu or Brett Kiesel or one of those guys. You have to look. You can't just look at it in a vacuum of, I hate Clemson. They don't turn out NFL players. I hate that they're talked about. I hate that they go undefeated. Like you got this weird bias where you thought you didn't think DeAndre Hopkins was a top 5 wide receiver for until this year.
That was irrational. That one was me being irrational. I will admit that one was me being irrational.
You admit
but for the other stuff, like for the amount of hype that fucking Sammy Watkins got coming out, and never amounting to it. Dude, what Stephon Diggs is, that's what Sammy Watkins literally was projected and supposed to be coming out.
Agreed.
A lot of Clemson, and there's too many like that coming out of that damn school, getting that amount of hype, dude. That's what I'm saying. My thing with them, my hatred of them is they have guys come back to school. For example, J.K. Dobbins left, Travis Etienne stayed. People are like, he said in interviews, he's been like, I only stay because I wanted to become a pass catcher. I wanted to become all this stuff. He's going to break all these records. You came back to school. That man, outside of going to the Chiefs, I want that man when he gets to the NFL, be an all-pro as a rookie. If you were going to be, he was going to be a first-round pick. He was going to be a first-round pick.
He's still going to be a first-round pick. He's still going to be a first-round pick.
So he still going to be. So that extra year development should be better.
So why don't you? Okay. So you have, but you don't have the same expectation. Was Derrick Henry an All-Pro his rookie year?
He was not. Derrick Henry was our third. He was our third down back, but we also didn't draft him with our first-round pick.
Okay. Was Adrian Peterson an All-Pro in his rookie year?
Was he? Hold on.
He was not. He was an All-Pro until 2009. Or 2007, I believe. No, he might have been. I don't know. But look, bottom line is you're expecting rookies. You're putting this burden on the burden of proof more so on Clemson players than any other players. But it has nothing to do with the team. It has nothing to do with the actual players. But it has more to do, again, this is a LeBron James effect. People who hate LeBron James, they only do so because the media talks about them. Same thing with the Cowboys. People only hate the Cowboys because the media talks about them. People only hate or in your case, you hate Clemson because the media talks about them and you don't think they're that good. That's fine. You can say that, but you can't say every single. Therefore, I hate Clemson because they're overhyped and the media talks about them. Therefore, every single player that comes out of there should be held to a higher standard than any other player. And every other player any player who comes out of there who's not an All-Pro as a rookie, who doesn't MVP as a rookie, who doesn't win a playoff game as a rookie, is automatically trash and a bust. That is where you're wrong, my friend. That's where I disagree with you because you're putting the burden of proof too much on one season right out the gate. You're not looking at it, okay, where's this player going to be 5 years from now? Because that's where you really should be looking at. Where's Trevor Lawrence going to be 5 years from now? If Trevor Lawrence is an MVP after 5 years, that's an attainable goal.
What about the other dudes?
Who? What other dudes? Okay, the other dudes. Them. We were talking about Trevor Lawrence, though. We were talking about Trevor Lawrence. I agree with you. Okay, you can say that Clemson does not produce the same amount of players as Alabama. Yeah, that's fine. But that's also not the point of college football. The point of college football, at the end of the day, is to play college football. We can agree or disagree on that point. I know because everything for you is centralized to the NFL and getting to the pros. That's fine. Most college football players don't go to the pros, though. Dude, 90% of players who play college football don't end up going to the NFL. That's just how it is. For most people, it's like the NFL is a dream that people aspire to, but it's not usually not the end goal because most people know they're not going to ever make it to the NFL. So for you to just say, "Oh, it's all about getting to the NFL," when only 10%, only 10 or 15% of people actually get to the NFL, it's short-sighted. It's short-sighted. It's ignoring the fact that these players, a lot of them go there they get their degree, they get their degree, they get the scholarship, and they get out, and then they end up doing something else with their lives. That's just how it is, okay? So for you to say it's entirely about getting to the NFL when only a certain subsect of the population has the skill, the talent, and the experience to get there, I think it's very short-sighted. And that's always been my argument is
not at all.
You're ignoring.
Because I'm looking at it from the perspective as a fan of my team, and when I turn on Saturday football, college football, I'm looking at
perspective of a fan of your team, a fan of your team.
Not just a fan of my team, a fan of the NFL, dude. You turn on the TV, you watch the ACC championship game, or as opposed to you watching the SEC championship game, you could tell me 5 dudes on both sides of the ball for both Alabama and Florida that you would rather have outside of Trevor Lawrence. I just said his name for the first time. That you would rather have than any other dude that Clemson's playing with. That's what I'm saying.
No, I would still take Trevor Lawrence though over
no,
most
I mean
players
outside
in the NFL.
of Trevor Lawrence. Any of those other dudes, any of those dudes like your team.
Okay. Agree with you on that. Agree with you. Clemson does not produce the NFL caliber players that Alabama or those other schools do. Alabama is obviously the best at producing players. We know that.
And Ohio State.
Why the irrational hatred for, or why the irrationality towards Trevor Lawrence? I don't get that. That's the thing.
Just because he wears the jersey. It's just because he wears the jersey.
It's literally just it's just a show.
It's not. No, I don't like Dabo. I don't like how Dabo
That's
shoots
fine.
his
You
mouth
don't.
off.
That's fine. That's fine. But whenever you're making a real football argument and you say stuff like, "Oh, Trevor Lawrence, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl in his first year, he's a bust."
I never
Like,
said Super Bowl.
Okay, if he doesn't,
Outperform Andrew Luck. Outperform Andrew Luck's rookie year.
he might. He might. Depends on what you
And
mean
when
by
he does,
outperform.
and when he does, I might believe in him. He's going to the
Might.
same division.
Oh God, I hope. See, that's the thing. It's gonna make me a Jags fan next year because I just want to see you like eat your words. If Trevor Lawrence ends up somehow making the playoffs, like I want to hear you eat your words on this podcast.
I will.
Fair enough. Any parting words, Andrew? Or parting thoughts? Anything about today's games or
Yeah, tighten
NFL in
up.
general?
Oh no, tighten up for tomorrow. Tighten up. I'm telling you, bet the house in Tennessee. Good payout.
Word. All right,
Green Bay
guys.
-3. I think it's Tennessee +3. Bet the house in Tennessee. I'm telling you.
All right, guys. So this has been a live stream. Games are about to start up. We're gonna leave you guys. We're gonna be watching the games. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Real Take Sports. Follow us on Facebook.com/Real Take Sports Talk. Patreon.com if you can. Patreon.com/Real Take Sports. Be sure to check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Real Take Sports Talk. Every week, new episodes drop. We also publish videos on YouTube. Also, be sure to check out the archives on YouTube for everything from the NFL to the NBA, NCAA, and so on. I'm Omar Qureshi. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Andrew, it's been chill. Say bye to the people.
Bye, people.
All right. And that's going to do it for today. We'll do another live stream soon. It's been a lot of fun. I think it's been really successful for us too. But yeah, send us your questions. Send us your questions. RealTakeSportsTalk@gmail.com. Again, Real Take Sports Talk